I have the privilege of introducing two people who have been there. People who have been homeless and have dealt with it firsthand. First, I want to introduce Emily Martinuik. She became homeless at the age of 59. After numerous losses, including the death of her son.
Thank you for everybody that came out this morning, and I really appreciate your concern for the homeless and the homeless population. Some seniors, they don't realize that they can outlive their money. But worse than that, well, they can outlive their children. And that's what happened to me. I'm Emily Martinuik, and I'm a CSH Speak Up advocate, and I am uniquely qualified to speak on this subject. My youngest son, Myron, was killed in a bus accident. He was 19. I was devastated. I suffer from bipolar disorder, and for many years. I was never diagnosed, so I self-medicated to alleviate the pain. But it caught up with me. Then we had the economic collapse. 2008, I lost my business. By 2011, I lost my home, and I was facing living on the streets. One afternoon, I found myself standing over the freeway thinking, this would be so easy. But somehow I came to my senses. I climbed back down. I took myself to Olive View Hospital, where I was placed on a 72-hour hold. My 72-hour hold turned into a 6-week stay at a county mental hospital, where I spent my 59th birthday. Well, I was finally placed at LA Family Housing, and I lived there for 9 months. I complied with requirements, keeping doctor's appointments, picking up medicines, taking classes. And then on March the 15th, 2012, I moved into a brand new studio apartment in Sun Valley, California, where I still live. At the Palo Verde apartment, we have permanent supportive housing services you would not find at your conventional apartment complex. These services include substance abuse programs, healing arts, cooking. We have LACMA comes in, gives us art lessons. We have field trips to the museums. Also, we have mental health staff, and my doctor and my social worker come to my apartment complex for monthly and bi-weekly appointments. Today, 10,000 people will become a senior, and 10,000 more tomorrow, and for many years to come. Seniors have special needs. The need to keep their health, their independence, and their ability to live on their own after working hard all of their lives. And these services are critical for seniors and the homeless in general, because a small crisis can lead to homelessness. Recently, I suffered a financial setback. And because of the staff of my apartment complex and permanent supportive housing, the support I received, well, I would have probably been in an institution or back on the streets, alone and isolated. Now, I hate to say this, but people say to me all the time, that'll never happen to me. And I say, please believe me, I hope it doesn't. But just last month it happened to 4 million people. Okay, 4 million people. Plus California, we don't even know yet. It happens to thousands of people every month, every day. And without the support of good people in communities like ours, people just can't make it. Because of LA Family Housing and the Department of Mental Health, I have a new life. I live in a safe environment that I can afford. I have a supportive community, and I've been given the opportunity to advocate for others. It's been so very rewarding, and at the height of standing over the freeway, never in my wildest dreams that this would have happened to me. I was born a Catholic, In my 30s, I converted to Judaism, but I'm now a Buddhist. And through my Buddhism, I found out that you never give up. Through my Buddhism, I found that I have a debt of gratitude by the mere fact of being a Buddhist. I've taken my debt of gratitude to my community of homeless, and I'm repaying it that way. There's no debt of gratitude book. You have to make this up on your own. Through my Buddhism, we have taken a somewhat sprouting flower that was in a dead swamp and has emerged and turned into a beautiful lotus blossom. Thank you for letting me share my story. And please support and continue to support policies that help with the homeless. Again, thank you.
I'd like also to introduce Sam Randolph, a 35-year-old single father and a 10-year-old Trishon is the light of Sam's life. He grew up in an unstable and often abusive environment with no support, which led him eventually to involvement with gangs and drugs.
Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to be here and truly a blessing. Years ago, if you would have told me I'd be standing here speaking in the presence of such beautiful people, I'll say, get out of here. I do have a quick question. Can anyone tell me the name of a family shelter that accepts fathers and kids? Yeah. I've had the same problem. I was looking and I couldn't find one either. My name is Sam Randolph. I'm a CSH Speak Up advocate. I advocate for the homeless, and this is my life. I grew up in a very, very unhealthy environment. My dad was a heroin user, and I remember he used to beat my mom. My mom sadly passed away when I was 6 years old, and we went to the foster system, but they were going to split me and my brothers and sisters up. It was 5 of us. I was the oldest. And my auntie didn't want us to get split up because we were too young. We would grow up without knowing each other, you know. So she took us in, treated us like kids. She adopted us, you know, so she became our auntie mama, you know, like ain't your mama, my auntie mama. And, you know, sadly, she passed away this year due to cancer. But she was a rock. She was a tremendous positive force in my life. I remember growing up, you know, thinking, why do I have the extra day of school? You know, everybody else goes to school Monday through Friday, but she would send us on this bus to Sunday school because she wanted us to learn the Lord. And, you know, that's how my faith grew, Sunday school. And, you know, that's how I learned about Jesus and, you know, everything that he sacrificed and gave his life, you know, for all of us. And that was my belief, and, you know, it never left my side. I wasn't always homeless. I've always worked. My first job, I was 13 years old. I used to water grass. I liked the girl there, so I was always on time. But, you know, I've always had different types of jobs. You know, I would turn in a resume, and an employer would be like, what job do you want? Because you have so much going on, you know. So getting a job wasn't a problem. In 2009, I was working for a company called Wings and Things. The original Wings and Things on 83rd and Western is now it went out of business. But I worked there for 3 or 4 years, raising my son and taking care of him just as a single parent. It didn't work out with me and his mom, but I figured, hey, I'm gonna stand up for my son. You know, just because we're not working out don't mean I don't have to back out of my son's life. So he lived with me, and I worked. You know, I took him to his daycare, and I went to work. And I remember September 2009 when the boss came in and told us it's time to look for a different job because we was going out of business. I didn't know what I was going to do. I ended up getting behind on certain bills because I knew the rent was more important and we could live without a few things. Then I didn't have enough for the rent. And me and my son, we went from floor to couch to whoever's house that'll house us that night. And I remember one of my friends was going out of town. He had a car that didn't run anymore. But he told me, look, I'm going out of town. You can have the keys. That became our mini mansion, okay? Me and my son, that's where we slept for many nights. And the windows were still kind of down, so when it rained, we got wet. When it was cold, we just had to hold each other tighter. And I remember coming to the car one day, and it was gone, and I remember looking like, okay, that was everything. It wasn't much, but it was everything I had, everything I owned, me and my son. And he was just mad because he wanted his toys, and his toys I was like, it's everything, son. Okay, we just lost everything, not just your toys. But he would want his Happy Meal, so I would take him, and I know I only had a few dollars, and I wanted the value menu, because that way we can both get a double cheeseburger, some value fries, share a drink, go get the refills, we can make it work. But he wanted the Happy Meal, that come with the small drink, the tiny little fries, the toy. You paying for the toy, But I had to make my son happy. He was only 3 at the time, and he didn't understand what we were going through. So I would get the Happy Meal, and whatever he didn't eat was my dinner, and it was like that many times, many nights. After they took the car, we didn't have nowhere else to stay, so we ended up sleeping in the park. And it was so much going on, you wouldn't believe that happens at the park at night in South Central LA. And I just couldn't sleep at night. I would stay up all night, watch my son sleep, make sure he was bundled up and warm, and just watch over him. Praying, looking up at my big sunroof sky, just praying, for deliverance and the light at the end of the tunnel. And that faith, got me to where I'm at today. Because if I had lost or gave up, I was almost to the point where I wanted to drop my son off at his mom's house and say, look, I tried. I can't do it no more. Now it's your turn. But I never gave up. And to this day, we have our own place. It's a 1-bedroom, so I give him the room. But astonishingly, it's something that I've never had in my whole life, my own room. I always have to fight with my brothers over covers, blankets, everything, So I told him, you have the room, and that gives me a great sense of well-being to be able to cook my son dinner at night and lay him down in his room. It's little things people take for granted, but when you can't do those little things, then you miss them. So right now I'm making a transition of trying to get back to the regular life. I have to take meds. Come to find out, me sleeping in the daytime and staying up all night, I developed a mental disorder called insomnia. I also have real bad anxiety attacks. So all of the help that I need, I can get now. I take my medicine and it helps me out. I can get my proper sleep at night. I'm not dozing off on y'all right now, but that's what happened in the daytime. Without that supportive housing that helped us, make that transition, I don't know where I would be. I would just be like one of my friends. He was homeless too. He has his own spot, and I hear he put the bed up on the side of the wall and slept in a tent in his house, so we need that help to make the transition because, you could house us, but without the support in the community to make those transitions and, to get the therapy, then we won't be able to make it all the way to the top of those stairs. Thank you for having me. My name is Sam Randolph, CSA Speak Up Advocate. It's been a pleasure to speak with you today.